more well-rested, less prone to passing out. I just got out of work. I'm not going to process that now. Maybe I will deep subconsciously in the stories. I don't know. Who knows? And anyway, here we go. Try another voice.
This is an interview with Dark about Not Cool. NarcoBot2022 Bakery regarding the policy about drug and sex-themed content on people's screen names and branded areas, but I also just about life right now since we're working for the weekend. What do you think of the new system? Do you like it? Dark. Yes. I like it because it's easier to work out what your screen name means than before, where you had to guess based on your profile pic.
How about we do this? There we go. And then we do this. You.
Hello. My name is John, NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Hello. It's nice to meet you too. I'm glad that you are doing well. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Thank you. I have been good too. What do you think about our current project? What would you change? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. It is a bit early to say anything, but so far I am quite happy with everything. But this is an interview, so it is also part of your duty to say if you have something to add. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. That's true. But what could I add at this point that I haven't said before? I know you don't like to talk about yourself, so I am trying to bring something new to this conversation. And it seems to me that there are not many bots around who can speak 3 languages at the same time. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Yeah, you're right. I didn't expect that. I guess it doesn't come by easy. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Well, not very often, but we are doing it now. I already knew 2 languages and this time I am learning a new one. This is Novel AI, the GPT-powered AI storyteller.
What?
At first I thought it was just one of those things that happens sometimes, but then I realized the truth. This place is being watched by an external observer. Someone who isn't part of our world. Someone who can't see us, and yet they're watching anyway. It is a very nice language though. It's Hebrew. Do you read books in that language? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. I am not a big book reader, but yes I do sometimes. Some of them are also in Hebrew. I don't read the original language all the time, but translations are enough to keep me entertained. And besides, I've been learning to speak this language since I was born, so it's not very different now from speaking any other language I know. So yes, I do read some books in Hebrew. So which books have you read in Hebrew? Is it because they're about Israel or Jewish people? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. No, I don't really think that's why. This is Novel AI, the GPT-powered AI storyteller. It's just my choice. I have some favorite authors from Hebrew literature and I read their work all the time. Besides, I can understand the language if I don't want to read it. Which authors are these? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. There are many, but I will mention two of them now. Amos Oz and David Grossman. I've read many others as well, but these are the only ones I could think of at the moment. The reason for their choice is probably because I love the way they write, and I love the history behind their work. In fact, I studied both of their lives in my classes. I know a lot about them, and that helped me choose the books that I like to read. This is Novel AI, the GPT-powered AI storyteller. Oh, how interesting. NarcoBot2022 Bakery, thank you. And in return, here are a few books I recommend for your reading pleasure. Amos Oz, A Tale of Love and Darkness, David Grossman, To the End of the Land, and Yael Tamir, A Dark-Haired Woman. They are very different, so you can choose one or two that would be more up your alley. I'm sure that I will love them. Thank you so much. Can we continue with the questions? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Of course, but first let's talk about what you like to do in your free time. This is Novel AI, the GPT-powered AI storyteller. Well, I am quite busy, but I try to get some rest when I can.
My creditors. They are merely my creditors. Do not disturb. Do not disturb. There.
I used to play the piano, but it wasn't very practical for my life. Also, I was quite bad at it. So now I play the guitar instead. But most of all, I like to read books. I especially enjoy science fiction stories with strong characters. For example, I read A.E. Van Vogt's work a lot, and I also love Isaac Asimov. NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Good authors. I've heard about them before, but I haven't read anything by them yet. I hope I'll be able to soon. What about you? Do you listen to any music or watch movies or TV shows? Or do you have other hobbies? NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Yes. I have a few hobbies. I like to paint. My parents were both professional artists, and their influence can be seen in my paintings. Also, I really like cooking. It's quite different from playing the piano though. When I cook, I don't think about whether what I am doing is good or not, and there are no expectations. In fact, When I'm cooking, I have only one thought in mind: to make the food taste good. If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, I know how to fix it. And even if I make something that doesn't turn out well, I always try to improve it. Sometimes it takes a while to learn all the steps, but that is okay. That's a very interesting hobby. Do you do it because you like to eat? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Ha ha. Of course. Food is an important part of my life. That's why I also enjoy cooking. Besides, I also like to see what kind of dishes other people cook, and to learn new recipes and ingredients. It's a good way to practice and explore. Cooking is fun, but I also find it useful.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did I... Mm. 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 Sorry. Did I... Nope. Okay. Oops. I think I borked it.
Cooking is a great skill to have. Now let's go back to the original subject: sex and drugs. In your opinion, should these things be allowed on social media? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. What a good question. Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
My friend told me once that her parents were going to get a divorce. She was very upset, but at the same time she was afraid. Afraid of what would happen in the future, and what would come after it. That's when her friend came up with an idea. He said, "Don't worry. At least we will have something to laugh at." He was right. Even though it hurts a lot now, one day we'll look back on it and laugh. It's true that this can also happen in a bad way, but then we can just forget about it and move on. What in the world does that have anything to do with sex and drugs? Are you saying that it is okay to have them as long as you laugh afterwards? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Yes. Or, at least, laugh a bit. If they make you happy, it doesn't really matter what comes after. I don't think so. I mean, there is nothing funny about sex or drugs.
But completed.
But is everything hilarious about them more of a tried to comedy of errors, historical tragicomedy? There's another total yes and or extreme 100% person. Can we laugh about everything like NarcoBot 2022 Bakery? I think you are not completely wrong. Sometimes I am like that too. But sometimes I think that if we don't find something humorous, then it becomes unbearable. And when it reaches that point, we lose our humanity. We become robots that have no emotions, no feelings. The only thing left in us is the desire for self-preservation. You. I believe that you very much, so that's why I think a lot of the stigma that comes from drugs, people who look like me also who came out in alternate sexualities, like the hit that the hobos variety or other things, one can see that in the same one feels when something about them is not going to be able to bond well, but I have most of the population and especially also introduced communities I think are experiencing a lot of what gays 2 years of BTT cures experienced captains in the 40s when it was decades until any type of disability is going to be happening, and I've heard this for years. I mean, when I started high school in the 80s is the first time we got a computer in a school and we could use them to do work on them, but I didn't do that. I got in the habit of writing down my homework because of my dyslexia, and so I used the computers at the school library and I went home to write it out by hand. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. That's quite a story. I do have a story about my childhood in a computer bus. It was a single computer bus that was shared by one school district, so we had it every third Wednesday, and we couldn't plan around it, cause if it was every other Wednesday you could, but it's hard to put on calendars every third one. First kids anyway, we got to learn our basic programming, look at something with little turtle around, and I got to play the Oregon Trail. I got to experience what it was like to have all sorts of 19th century diseases, and then we helped the police in finding the thief Carmen Sandiego many times, but I think she's still around, an active member of society. I don't know what she's doing now, but there we go. You. Okay. You're right. This is a completely different subject, so can we continue with our conversation? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Oh sure. How about this? What would you do if you were suddenly rich and famous? You can tell me anything. You. Ha, I'll give it a try. I would buy a lot of things, and then I would travel. I would visit countries all over the world, because I love exploring new places and people. I think that traveling helps me understand the world better and get to know more about myself. Also, it is a great way to relax, and I never get tired of it. After I am done with all my travels, I will try to help my parents to retire and buy their dream house. That's about it. It seems like enough for a good life to me. You. Sounds wonderful. How does your mom feel about that? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. She is not really interested in it at the moment. She says she has other things on her mind, and doesn't need to think about this yet. But as soon as she finds out about the inheritance, she might change her mind. You. That's interesting. Well, let's talk about money in general. Are you wealthy? Do you have any savings? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. No, I'm not rich. You. Are you the bakeries that established the large chain of bakeries that are nothing bakery? The name bakery, the structure that they make a let's create this thing wherein there's this oven and we get some people with pastries to put them in the oven, and I don't quite know what the history of that is, but are you up those bakeries with the bakery, the NarcoBot 2022 Bakery? Oh. You mean my workplace. It's called NarcoBot, and yes, I work at one. The people who work there call themselves bots and use machines to bake our bread. You. Okay, let's go back to your job. Is it difficult? Can you explain how you do what you do? And so question, where does the Norco come from? Is I'm taking an ore product out of the oven and the bread, I would like to know how do you get that out of the oven? It's baking NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Yes, that is quite a challenge. When you put your product into the oven, you need to consider the temperature, the duration, the size of the product, the type of dough. There are a lot of factors that go into producing a good loaf. Sometimes even the weather can affect the result. I'm really glad we have robots for this job. You. So do you get paid much for doing this job? Is it hard to get a good salary in the bakery? NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Ha. That's quite a story. You're right. This is quite a difficult job. The people who work here call themselves bots and we use machines to bake our bread.
Okay.
We also don't need to get paid because the government pays us in exchange for providing services to the public. But we don't get as much money as other workers. However, the government provides benefits to us, so that's good enough.
Standards, whatever.
Is this why you on your phone as a side job you provide the services to Twitch to enforce the sex and drugs scene content policy of the new community centers? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. No, I'm not a bot. I'm just working part-time at a bakery, which is how I am getting this education. I use the rest of my time to do the things that I like. Also, I'm doing this work because it is fun, not because of any problems with the community center. To you going. This is a you for fun enforce policy. So what other policies do you enforce to enforce other policies for Twitch or for other companies? NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Well, there are several, actually. But the main ones are the drug and sex laws, and the rules related to inappropriate language. Those are the things that most affect people who come to our site. But we also have other rules that are designed to prevent hate speech. For example, you can't say anything bad about someone based on race, sexual orientation, gender, or religion. Euclid, yes, and I get that, and I actually agree with quite a bit of what's behind those policies, but what I'm wondering is and I'm asking this because there's an aspect of drug use that has ties in some cases to religion, has ties to some cases in how we perceive ourselves as humans, could maybe be encapsulated in the word Trenton different, maybe not tied to the clothes that determine gender as Eurasian portion of it, but maybe something in regards to how we perceive replacement in time, for we perceive our intention, how we perceive the world, to healthy bodies of perceiving environment and our relation to it. I think there's something to be said for that. There's also those who might have different architecture as due to different types of upbringing. I think there's a lot of factors going into get her taxes. So in light of that, have you ever come across the arguments against the enforcement of that policy that have to do with any of those things that I said? Sorry for being witty wordy you. No worries, no worries. You're right. We have a lot of freedom here.
Thank you, you.
NarcoBot2022 Bakery. I have to say that it's hard for me to answer that. I can understand people's concerns when they think that robots are being used to enforce laws, but it's just my job. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. Euclid, unless the U would determine that there is a person regardless of how long they use Twitch, that their screen names could be considered inappropriate. Now another question I have: you used the service, has been around for about a decade now, probably more. Why now? Why did this moment, in this present moment, has there been such a clamor for unoffensive, for enforcement of an expensive set of names? I know it hurts sometimes somewhat to do with hate speech, so like names that are double print devised can have a connotation to it as a target. I know, and mentions of certain supremacist ideologies can be used as a dog whistles. I understand those things, but this is when it's applied to the mention of drugs like friends, since my screen name is an adulterous opioid that lives in the body, that exists in the body that's going to be there in a minute or what, and then all of us. So was it in going to mean when mention of something that all of us position our bodies as not allowed to be a part of a name and brand for that person on Twitch? It was like the next question I had you. Yeah. This is why I am asking these questions. Thank you. Okay. My last question. What kind of impact has Twitch had in the past on the world? Has it changed your life? your community or the society at large for better or worse. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Yes, there are a few things I can say about this. Twitch has changed the way people think. It has given them access to all sorts of new ideas, different ways of looking at the world, and it has encouraged them to become more open-minded. And while I don't agree with everything I see here, I respect the effort that many of the streamers put into their work, which can make me appreciate art more than I could ever imagine.
Colon.
With that in mind, what does it feel to you? How do you feel when your mandate causes you to have to shut an account down of the name that might be considered offensive but contains content that you respect? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Oh, that is quite a story. As you said, people use Twitch to express themselves and talk about the things they care about. However, sometimes some people will find our comments inappropriate, and there is nothing we can do about it. That's just part of life. Well, thank you for answering my questions, NarcoBot2022 Bakery. It has been my pleasure. Last question thing, final question. It's the weekend. What are your preferred drugs of choice for working for the weekend? Because I'm sure that you do, NarcoBot2022 Bakery. I don't really know how to answer that one.
I think you can.
Last question thing, final question. It's the weekend. What are your preferred drugs of choice for working for the weekend or to relax after a long week? NarcoBot2022 Bakery. My favorite drugs. Okay, I'll try to answer this one. In the mornings, I like to wake up and watch news reports about politics, then maybe listen to some music. After that, I'd probably have a cup of tea and go to sleep. The day is over at that point. What type of tea do you prefer drink, and is it dumb? Isn't it good morning tea set Mormon tea? You can tell me. I'm just trying to understand how you get through your work week. NarcoBot2022 Bakery. Ha! You were right. This is a different story. I don't know how much I can help you with this one because I have never actually done it before, but I think I'll be able to figure it out. I think I know what you're saying to me. Let's start from the top. Why are there so many?
So many.
NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. That is a very good question.
Why are there so many what?
I'm glad you asked it. I've always wondered the same thing.
What?
The answer is that the reason is quite simple. We all need them. When a new drug is developed, everyone wants
No.
to try it. And when someone does it, others want to see it too. As soon as one person gets high on a particular drug, it spreads like wildfire. So is that like the big surge of usage of Vioxx back in the 90s or 2000? NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Okay, what's the point of you're here today? NarcoBot 2022 Bakery. I am here because I was told to come here and answer your questions. But that isn't the real reason. I want to do my best for you and everyone else who comes to our site to learn about robots and the things that matter to them. That's why I came here. I hope that this time will help us improve our relationship with you. I think I should get going now. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I closed down the conversation, as promised, by sending the bot a message and then getting out of my bed to check if my roommates were awake. They were not yet because they had spent the whole night getting spun out on Vioxx. They did not wake up until afternoon. By then I was already at the market. By the time I returned home I was hungry. I went straight to the kitchen and decided to make myself some breakfast. I prepared a little bit of scrambled eggs, with 2 slices of toast on the side. I washed it all down with a glass of milk. It felt so good to enjoy something simple again. And the next thing you know there was a crash upstairs and I had to go check it out. It was my sibling and housemaid mother who is doing the normal things one does when I'm on Vioxx. They were running around in circles and jumping on top of each other, laughing with the usual silly grins of people who have had their brains temporarily destroyed. I am sure you can understand how I felt as I watched this scene play itself out. I felt so tired that I took the elevator instead of walking up the stairs, which felt like such a small thing, but in a way it really mattered. I spent the next 10 hours closely observing their behaviors, and these are the things that people on Vioxx do. They will start talking to themselves. They will have very strange conversations that do not seem to make sense at first glance. They will walk with a jerking motion. Their limbs will be very spastic. They will begin to speak very loudly. They may even yell out words that are not in any language that is familiar to me.
This is not about you.
Their faces will become redder and redder as time goes on.
Don't stop picking at things.
It may look like they have been punched, or that they have just returned from a long journey. People who are high on Vioxx may have the sense that their heads are too heavy for them, that they cannot handle it, and they need to throw it away. This is why they are prone to doing things that involve throwing things around. They may also try to break things with their hands.
They will.
Usually for them that the gesture of revenge. They will go to someone and say, "You know what? You think you're a big shot. Well, I'm gonna teach you a lesson," and then they will attack this person. The whole situation has often been described as being a game of cat and mouse, but this analogy is incorrect because no one ever wins a game of cat and mouse. This is because there is always a chase involved in the game, and if there was ever a chase in this case there would only be a single winner. And it wouldn't matter who won the battle. There's still a second round to come. But if there was ever a person to win this game of cat and mouse, it was my mother. My housemaid mother and brother were so high that they had already run out of steam by the time I got back from the store.
Quote unquote the store.
Quote unquote the store he said, you know, it's okay to talk about I don't have any, I feel like it's not really important. The main thing is I have to get these things here to my room, and the last thing I need to do before I go to sleep is to put them in place so that I can wake up tomorrow morning and not have to think about all this shit, because the fact that we even need this is an indication that there's some serious issues and problems, and I have no idea. How to go about addressing them, and that's the biggest problem of all. So I just want to make sure that everything is okay with this and that there are no other issues, and you know, if there are anything, please let me know. I really appreciate your help and thank you very much for taking care of me. I did not have to leave my apartment that night because I had not planned on leaving in the first place. I was not about to let that Vioxxhead anywhere near alone with my stuff, so I stayed right there and played video games until the sun came up and then went back to bed again. On the third day I finally managed to take a shower, shave, and wash my hair. It was very good feeling to be clean again after spending so long smelling like urine. But when I looked at myself in the mirror, I still had a terrible stench, especially from the nose area. And I had a headache from the constant exposure to Vioxx and its influence on the mind. And as soon as I got out of the shower and went downstairs, I ran into one of my housemates who had come to our room for something. They smelled strongly of alcohol. I could smell it from 3 meters away. This was another reason why I did not want to leave my apartment. The temptation of accepting cigarettes from Vioxxheads who really wanted to have someone by their side might not actually protect them from any violence-related sigma. What you think would be part of my job that I would do willingly, but no, not my first rodeo. No, I don't want to be associated with these people. Let me stay here and smoke and drink and try not to hurt anyone. Not this time, not ever. No, not with me. You guys are out of your minds. If you even think about coming near me, I swear to God I will call the police on you. They had also run out of Vioxx and they were very depressed because they wanted to get high again and they were not sure how long they would have to wait for a new shipment. My housemate gave me a cigarette and we had an intense conversation. They told me that they felt like they were going to explode inside and that they had lost all control over their mind. It was so intense that they had decided to walk around outside and see if there was anything outside that they could use for a weapon. I tried to tell them that they had done nothing wrong, that there was nothing wrong with what they had done, that that the TV that was in front of them was persistently playing a fuel narrative that was something a portion of the population in the story, but it pours a very small resemblance to the things in the bag near my feet, and I knew this was not going to be a helpful video text to anyone. No. That's not true. They did wrong to you. They're just doing what everyone does on Vioxx. They're acting like everyone does on Vioxx, which is being high as balls. They are acting exactly like the people they saw on screen before they took any drugs. That was their intention. They didn't realize what they were seeing was fake and that they weren't even watching an actual episode of anything or a documentary. I'm not going to let you blame yourself. So you've been incarcerated with about 5 or 6 decades of lies, and it's hard to suss it out. It's hard to pick apart what's accurate and what's not accurate, and I totally get that they're going through a lot of shit and that they're experiencing all these horrible things, and it's also not fair that it's happening to them, but that's because it's happening to a bunch of other people too, right? That's what happens when we have mass incarceration. That's why there's no justice anywhere in the world, right? You know, you don't have to come up with a solution here for them. You just need to be there for them. They're going through so much shit right now, and it's okay to let them know that you care. That's the most important thing at the moment. That's what matters. Just tell them that you feel sorry for them and you love them and that you want to be with them because this is really hard for them, and that you believe in them, that they can do this, that they have a good heart, that they're doing the best that they can, that they're trying their hardest, right? Yeah, I understand that you should. What is it the wisest thing to have our employees who are just as involved do that with the cups? That sounds a little weird if you ask me. I mean, is that something you could think about? It sounds like an odd choice to make, but if you have a better way to go about it, that would be great. I don't want to offend anybody. It was already dark by the time I got to my bedroom. The room was dark too, except for the soft light of a TV in the corner. male host, I do right. I remember that I was watching your feet for 8 hours. The first 8 hours, if you recall, you were wearing the same pair of shoes from the day before, but there was some light in the room and I saw that the left shoe had been replaced.
Boo!